Top five, top five, top five.
Yeah, girl. You ready to do this? You ready to count this thing down? We're doing the top five, heard? Yeah, let's set it off with 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mwah, mwah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very romantic episode of Ranked Top 5 Lists of Stuff That Don't Matter. I'm your romantic host, Tuong La, and I'm here to send you kisses along with a bunch of new people on PodCavern. We've never had this group before, but I was like, you know what? For this year's Valentine's special, I really just want to reach out to people that I love, haven't seen in a while, and you know what? They just never stepped foot in the PodCavern, and I'm not sure if it's because I haven't sent that Valentine's invitation or if they just, don't like me. But you know what? By the end of this episode, we will find out. So my first Valentine I have here today, we have the very lovely Adriana Johnston, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, Adriana.
So if I had woken up one day to an arrow with a heart on the end in my back, I would definitely have come on your podcast sooner.
Okay, let me write this down. Arrow to the back. Now, is this a fictional arrow or is it a real one? Or is it both?
It would be a fictional one that would come out of your quiver if you were a baby cherub.
Okay, there's a lot of steps here. I have to be a baby. It has to be a fictional arrow. Okay, I'll leave this on my notepad for next time. Adriana, do you want to introduce your Valentine?
I would be happy to, yeah. He's a lovely person, a chocolate lover. He's an improv legend, an established stand-up, a dog dad, and as I said, just all around lovely human. So we've got Joshua Mayo. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Josh. Hi. I for sure would have come here sooner, except I didn't want you to think that I liked you. And so
you didn't want to think that I. Okay,
no,
right.
I didn't.
What's your strategy
want to make
here?
it obvious.
Oh, okay. You're trying to play it cool and coy, right? You wanted me to come to you. That's a good,
exactly.
That's a good pickup move. Maybe we'll talk about this later.
Oh
no. We'll see. Well, Josh, I'm really happy you're here. I'm really happy that you might fall in love with the group by the end of this episode, but we'll see. But we can't start the episode until you introduce your Valentine.
Well, my Valentine is somebody very near and dear to my heart. Somebody who you might say I am already in love with. Please welcome Woody McCadden.
Hello, Woody.
Hi. That was lovely.
Woody, I have a question. Josh has just professed his love to you on air. I'm not sure if this is the first time or not. How do you feel about this?
I love him too.
Oh my God. Wow, this is starting off really well. Can't wait to argue about pointless things shortly.
I'm worried we're all too agreeable.
Yeah, it might be the case. I have an ace up my sleeve. Usually when a group is too agreeable, I will turn into the bad guy and stir the pot. Because, like most Valentines and much like love, there has to be a lot of drama involved, right? You can't love somebody and just be happy all the time. There has to be some hills and valleys, right, Woody?
I do think so, yeah. I mean, like Josh and I have a very agreeable love, and he's been playing hard to get in terms of getting on this podcast. I, for one, am very dramatic. I've been standing outside this podcast with a boombox over my head for at least a couple of months.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. We were going to let you in the PodCavern sooner, but you were just doing such a cute job outside with your boombox, and I didn't want to ruin your groove.
No, yeah, don't take me out of my boombox groove.
I'm sorry. When someone gets in a boombox groove, it's like, do we stop him? No, we got to leave him there. Even if it's like a blizzard outside, who cares? Okay, well, everyone, obviously here today, we're here to talk about love. Just like every February, somehow we've had a Valentine's Day special for every year of Ranked, which is nuts because I'm like, what am I going to do this year? But this group inspired me. Because, Josh kind of alluded to like a pickup move, and I'm like, all right, we're getting somewhere with this. So today we're talking about top 5 smooth pickup moves for Valentine's Day. because you all need it, obviously, in the pandemic. You're going out there, you're picking up people left and right. So before we get into ranking stuff and nominating stuff, I want to come up with some ground rules. What does this topic mean to you guys?
All right. Number one, I think it should be okay if these are applicable only to yourself, because sometimes the thought of a good pickup move is what would work on you, and maybe it's what you want for people to do to you. I'm single, just so we're clear.
Right? Yeah, okay.
This is me being single. Anyway,
I see.
that's me. That's what I'm thinking about.
Okay, all right. Okay, Adriana, Woody, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I think a pickup attempt, very, very basic, has to be not creepy and not offensive and not like, predatory.
Yeah.
It's gotta be playful. It's gotta be light and fun and fresh,
I'd be shocked if this group said anything predatory as their nominations. I'm going to creep on you.
It's been a long time.
Oh, fair enough. It has been. Yeah, you guys must have changed since the last time I've seen you in person. That is a good rule. I like it. Woody, what do you think?
I think it's got to be like a personal approach. Like it's such a putting yourself out there. Like this has got to be a representation of your game or lack thereof, right?
Yeah.
Depending on whether you play them.
Lack thereof, indeed.
That's fair. That's fair. So my idea of this episode and this show is that, yes, it can come from a personal place. It can also come from like, here's some advice. Here's some terrible advice that you can use as a smooth pickup move. But I wanted to spice things up. It's a little bit different in the way that today's episode is brought to you by a bunch of really funny people, really funny improvisers, but not necessarily that these answers that we came up with today are improvised. But you can tell that it's coming from an improv person's brain, if that makes any sense. So like some of these scenarios that we have here today, yes, you can apply it to real life, probably, but I also wanted to open it up to be like, hey, if you want to come up with something crazy, then do it, because this is top 5 lists of stuff that don't matter, So here are some other ground rules that I've come up with here today is we can use pickup moves for people that we like, picking up a stranger, picking up just your life partner. Sometimes you still got to put on the moves for your wife or your husband or your long-term partner. Just because you're together doesn't mean you don't have to like try every once in a while. Pick up moves to make a friend, because there's Valentine's Day out there, right? So if you want to just make a friend out there today, maybe we can help you with that. I also want to say that I think I'd like to assume that some of these scenarios, they don't have to be beholden to like the current state of the world, because right now we live in the pandemic. Like, I don't want our answers to be like, well, you're gonna go on Zoom, you're gonna make sure you have a great internet connection, you're gonna invite them to PodCavern's ranked episode, and then you're gonna pick them up. No, we're gonna assume that the pandemic's not part of it, unless that's part of your answer. Other fun possibilities: unlimited money, I think is fun. So if Woody, you want a friggin' mansion on a boat as part of your pickup move, I'll give it to you, because we got unlimited money here.
Man.
Whatever
in
you
stark
want.
Contrast. Just in stark contrast to everyday life. But
Yeah.
I like it.
I have to calculate my my nominations with a lot of plastic surgery on the other end and see where I end up.
If that's part of your pickup move, then weird, but I'll take it. And yeah, I wanted to make up pickup moves instead of pickup lines, because I think actions speak louder than words. So like, there's so many cheesy pickup lines out there. If that's part of your move, then power to you, but we're better than that, I think. I don't know. We'll find out soon. Any other ground rules before we get going? No. All right.
I
No.
established, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that covers it.
All right. Okay, Valentines, let's put our hearts together, because we're going to start ranking a list here. Just like every episode of Ranked, we're going to go around 3 times, nominating 3 nominations, each making a master list of 12 and whittling that down to a top 5 smooth pickup moves for Valentine's Day list. Okay, all right, everyone, here we go. Where do I want to go? Do I want to go crazy for my first nomination? I want to go a little bit more grounded? How about we go with this, okay? This is a big one. This is totally in the realm of possibilities, but hear me out here, okay? You have a Valentine's person that you like. They can be anything. They can be a stranger. They can be someone you like. They can be a friend. But this is how you wow them into becoming your Valentine. You get a bunch of puppies. get a bunch of puppies. You're going to strap a bunch of like cute things around their necks, like very sweet sayings, maybe some like nice chocolates and stuff. These puppies also have to be very well trained in the way that they're not going to try to eat the chocolate because we don't want the puppies to get sick. But they're going to have like, the will you be my Valentine? Pictures of you together. Maybe. We'll see how. I'm not sure the relationship with your Valentine. We're going to have, I don't know, pictures of more puppies on the puppies' necks, that kind of thing. And then you're going to say, hey, I'd like you to just come into this room real quick. It's not going to be creepy whatsoever, I swear. And then you're going to open the door, and then a flood of puppies just go on top of your Valentine. And they're going to be like, whoa, oh my God, this is so cute. And I think that's a kind of a smooth pickup move. What do you guys think?
You know, I think for sure the chances of me going into a room that somebody has specifically marked not creepy...
I didn't mark it not creepy. I'm just telling you it's not creepy.
Fair. That's fair.
Why would you feel the need to say that?
Because other people would be like, why is Tuong leading me into like, I'm not going to say a cavern either. just a room, just like a yoga studio. Let's call it a yoga studio, a public space that I've rented out or something for this moment that I can flood you with puppies, okay? The core idea is being flooded with puppies.
And the puppies are a complete surprise, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. They don't know.
Okay.
Would this work on you guys?
As Adriana alluded to, I am a father to canines. And so, yes, absolutely, 100%. If somebody showered me with 100 puppies, I don't think any more words would need to be said for the rest of our relationship.
Right?
That is...
Okay. Phew. Yeah, because I think it's pretty obvious if you say, will you be my Valentine? I don't even have to say it. The puppies do the work themselves. And obviously, we got to give the puppies back. We don't get to keep the puppies.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, that makes it for me.
Okay, all right. You thought you had to keep the puppies afterwards.
Like, I don't need some type of a burden, placed on me, even though it'd be very cute. So I would be completely charmed by that.
Okay.
The effort and the cuteness that's temporary, and then the memories for years to come.
Woody, would puppies work on you if I did that to you right now?
Right now?
Right now. Open your door.
Open the door to this room and there were puppies on the other side. Yeah, I think so. I was kind of picturing the elevator from The Shining.
Okay.
but with puppies instead of a wave of blood.
Yeah, a little less dark, just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the polar opposite, but yeah.
I guess the only con is if your Valentine doesn't like puppies, but if they don't like puppies, then I don't want them to be my Valentine. I'm just going to tell you right now.
That's an excellent point.
What if they break out in hives? What if you cover them in puppies and then they're covered in hives?
It's all a test. If they break out in hives, I'm a dog person myself. I love dogs. I have my own. If they broke out in hives, I'd be like, I'm sorry, this didn't work out. I'm going to have to take these puppies. I still rented them for the next hour. I'm going to try this move on someone else now while I still can.
Maybe part of your "this is not creepy" preamble should be like, here are 2 Benadryl, and take them for whatever reason. This is not creepy.
Yeah, this is not creepy, but let me crush this Benadryl into your drink and see where the night takes us. Oh, I'm not having any, but you should.
Yeah.
Oh God! All right, Adriana, what do you have as your first nomination?
Sure, yeah. So I actually have just a little quote to start mine off, and it's very relevant to the pandemic as well. So, to love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance, and that's Oscar Wilde. And so my first tactic is to act aloof. So first of all, you have to find out the attachment style of your love interest, and you're going for somebody who has an anxious attachment style. So they are wanting to chase, and they're wanting the thrill of the uncertainty of whether or not you're into it, and they want to work for it. So you got to assess your mark, and then you have this campaign. It can be years long of acting aloof. Okay. And so you do need to be in contact with them in some way. So you have to be in a class with them, be in a group chat maybe, or a team or whatever, work maybe. And then you just focus on ignoring them as hard as you can.
So the idea is that you're playing it so cool that
Yeah.
it's so attractive. and they'd want to wait. When do you ever ask them to be your Valentine, or do you get them to do it?
You get them to do it. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Wow, I love the long game on this, where it can take years.
Years. Well, then you establish a history, right? At least for yourself.
Wow. Okay.
Oh my God, she hasn't given a shit about me for so many years. So irresistible.
I want her so badly.
Well, then you get them working for it. You know, they're like, oh, but okay. So I guess you do have to you have to take, as you were saying, talking the drama. You have to like, okay, walk by, maybe give a wave, maybe do one of those like, you know.
Do people do that?
Yeah. As a horse, I find that irresistible.
Yeah. So I guess you do need to give the odd crumb. You know, maybe like.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just, you know, in this day and age, just kind of being an asshole if you're not really.
No. It's a fine balance. It's a fine balance. You can. All right, you can do like a look maybe every now and then.
Got it. Okay, I understand where you're coming from. There's a lot of characters in movies and TV back in the day who are just like the cool person who they don't give a fuck about real life, but deep down they got feelings and they like people just like everyone else. But you gotta put on that mystique around you. So do you ever like talk about yourself when you're acting aloof ever? Does the person ever get to know you as a person?
Well, they do, because they ask you a lot of questions. And so you can keep them kind of interested by answering, but just never fully satisfying. This is sounding pretty like devious.
I love it. Everyone take note at home. These are smooth pickup moves for Valentine's Day that you can use today. Josh, what do you have as your first nomination?
All right. Before I get into it, let me set the scene a little bit. It's 1995. You're in kindergarten. You make your first best friend. Let's say her name's Tracy. And you spend the next, let's say, I don't know, 15 years growing up together. And there's always been sort of like this like, will they, won't they kind of spark between the two of you. But you end up going to separate colleges. Your lives move on. They diverge away from each other. You hear from Tracy now and then. You know, she's an aspiring writer in New York. You have moved to Alberta to run an oil rig. But, you know, for some reason, the oil game just didn't work out for you. You're back in your small town 5 years later after graduating, working retail at a local convenience store. It's February 14th, and it is the 25th anniversary of you going to kindergarten. And who else walks in through the door? None other than Tracy herself. At which point you lock eyes, and sort of the weight of the separation of the years between the two of you sort of is heavy and tense in the air. And in that moment, you grab a card from the rack beside you because you worked there at the convenience store. And Tracy is very used to giving autographs because she's now a very successful author. And you've pre-written a message on this card.
Wait, you pre-written? You knew she was going to come in. Okay.
No. Yeah. Well, no, you were hoping she would come in. You've had the card there every day for like years.
You break the glass that says, in case Tracy
walks in.
Comes in on the 25th.
You give the card to Tracy. Tracy reads the message. And she looks at you and she says, yes, I will be your Valentine. You got to dinner together. And the rest is history. I call this one the long game.
I'm speechless. What does everyone have to say about Josh's long game? It's quite a long game.
I love it.
How many kindergartners are listening to this for advice? Because, like, that's right in the pocket for a very specific demographic.
Josh, I have a question. Did you, like, keep up with Tracy at all over the last 25 years in this scenario? Or is it just, like, you just hoped that your kindergarten crush would walk through a door one day and you'd recognize her?
You see, it's complicated because you sort of, in middle school, we shared a kiss.
There's more to this story.
It was like a little bit awkward, I think, like, because there was a romantic attraction there, but also we hadn't quite developed that sort of like that ability to process that.
Yeah,
And so
to communicate your feelings, because
Exactly.
you're in middle school. Like nobody
Right.
knows how to do that back then. Okay,
yeah.
that's a
We
very
sort of-
important detail that you guys shared a kiss somewhere between kindergarten and when you see her in the cash register. Okay,
Can I ask you about the circumstances of the kiss?
Oh, yeah, of course. Okay, so it was at Lana Fitzman's party. And we were playing Spin the Bottle, classic party game. Spin the Bottle, Lance, me, and Tracy. Everybody's like, ooh, because, I think we had already been the target of some rumors at this point, right?
Will they? Won't they?
Will they, won't they? Exactly. And so, we shared the kiss. There was a lot of pressure. People were watching or just like, ooh. And so that sort of like tainted that moment a little bit.
okay.
Yeah.
What happened to your oil business? Why didn't that?
Malpractice.
Oh,
Okay, all right. Because of you?
No, I was duped by my business partner. Yeah. We don't talk about him anymore. It's a long story. That's another Hallmark movie.
Fair enough. I wrote down Tracy Long Game, Will They, Won't They as the nomination. Hopefully we remember that when we revisit that later. What do you got as your first nomination?
well, I was thinking about what can be a specific approach like for Valentine's Day, right? And I think conversation is really important. Like you got to be able to have a conversation with someone, exchange ideas, talk about things that are interesting to you. Or it's also a gauge. It's a gauge of whether the inane details that I prattle on about will be interesting to someone else who'll probably need to spend time listening to me. So I thought a rousing conversation about the martyred Saint Valentine is just like a strong starting point. Really talking about like it's a corporate holiday now, but you got to be like, well, so where's this coming from? Saint Valentine. Like there's some interest. I mean, like he was beaten to death with clubs and then beheaded in 270 AD, right? Like that in itself is like that's the method of martyr, and that's brutal, right? And then all of a sudden we're exchanging heart candy. But something else I found out, and I mean, if this is not going to stir the very soul and loins of anyone that you would wish to, have interest in you, he is the patron saint of the city of Turney and also epilepsy and beekeepers.
Okay.
Like those are some factoids that I think might draw someone to you.
So how do you bring that up to somebody? Like, where are we? Am I at like a bar? Am I at a party? And then you just be like, hey, you want to know some fun facts about St. Valentine?
I mean, I think in some ways, generally, like pickup moves are a measure of confidence, right? So I think if you're confident enough, you can bring it out in pretty much any, like you're at a bus stop, you're beside someone, you're like, hey, what the thing about St. Valentine's death, and also, how do you feel about beekeepers? Because he liked them. Or, you could be at a party and you'd have to shout over the music a little bit and be like, whoa, these strobe lights, who's the patron saint? So February 14th, but I think the important thing is to mix some genuine facts about St. Valentine in there to show people you're well informed and in touch with the meaning of the holiday.
I love this. Now, Woody, throughout the rest of the show, I'm sure you're going to pepper us with more St. Valentine's facts. I'm sure you wrote much down as an expert yourself, of course, that we're going to get to hear that later, are we not?
You want some more St. Valentine facts?
I want all the St. Valentine's facts, but you're going to pepper it throughout the shows to prove that you're the expert on St. Valentine.
Okay, to be fair, I never claimed to be an expert. I only claimed to be seductive with these facts. But you know what? Right. I'll throw a few in there to just really drive the point home.
Okay,
for listeners at home, Woody is gradually unbuttoning his shirt.
Yeah, and it's working.
It is working.
We're going on round two, everyone. Round two. What an interesting round one that we have over here. Lots of good advice for the people at home looking to pick up for Valentine's Day. I have for my second nomination one that's practical. I would say one that's very doable, very real. The puppy thing I think was it works, but there's logistics around it. I get it. There's stuff that you can't get. Let's say 100 puppies, let alone maybe 5 puppies. It could be hard to rent them for that long. So what I'm going to suggest to pick up your let's just say either like your short-term to long-term partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, wife, husband, doesn't matter, that for Valentine's Day, you're going to spoil them in the way that you're going to give them an at-home spa day treatment, as well as free them from any responsibility they got to do that day. So what's more sexy than being like, hey, today, we're not going to take you to the spa because I can do it better, I think. Maybe. Why are we paying these professionals to do it? I can rub oil on my hands and do it for you. That's easy. I've been grabbing things all my life. That sounds terrible. But you're going to do the whole works for them. You can do the manicure. You can do the pedicure. You can do the foot massage. You can do the back massage. You can prepare the bath, the bubble bombs. What do you call them? Bath bombs. All of that stuff, the candles, all of that. But the main thing is that you're saying, hey, whatever responsibilities you have today, fuck it. It's on me. And I think that works. It's a tried and true method. And I've kind of done it before. I've never done a pedicure before, but I feel like I can handle that. Is that easy?
I think it's perfect. And on the day that happens to me, I am giving my husband the presentation notes for the Kobayashi report that I have to give at my business meeting later that day.
Right.
Because he said, any responsibility. Any responsibility?
Yes, any responsibility. Good. Whatever it is. Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to do a good job. If you're going to friggin' put on a report on my desk do, I'll do it. Because I told you, you have no responsibility. I just can't promise I'll do a great job. So, yeah. Woody, how do you feel?
I love not being responsible for things. I feel like it would release a lot of tension from me and put it squarely on my partner.
Yeah, but they love you so much, or they like you so much. We don't know where the dynamic of the relationship is, but they like you enough that they'll do that for you. And isn't that sweet?
I think it's sweet. I think it's relaxing. I think it shows responsibility. I feel taken care of. I feel like the burden has been shifted, and romanced.
Yes, that's all I wanted. Adriana, would that work on you?
I think it would, because that actually gives you the perfect blend of together time that's really quality. And then, of course, like if you're doing spa treatments, you're getting the physical touch, which is so important. And then when you need to go and like complete my work deliverables, then I have time to take a nap and to enjoy the sort of afterglow of the massage. And I think a really good balance of couple time and alone time on that one day would be like phenomenal. And then you come back together at the end. And
Exactly. It's all about the love. I like it. Yes. And the thing with the work deliverables is I won't badger you with questions. You're going to say, do it. You give me one set of instructions one time. But if I have any like follow-up questions, I'm not going to ask you. I don't want to bother you on your day off. So you can worry about that tomorrow. Adriana, you have a second nomination heading your way right now.
Okay, and just like before, I'm going to start mine with a quote. So, too much of a good thing is wonderful.
Can we preface where this quote is coming from? You have a book.
Okay, so I was chatting with my mom, and she got excited about knowing that I was coming on this podcast, and she sort of ran into the other room, and she pulled out this book called Flirting 101. And she won't mind me telling this, but she and my dad separated in 2007. She's like, I bought this book in 2008, and I read through it in preparation to like take on my sort of dating career after the kids had grown up and everything. So it's a very wholesome book. It's got a lot of good advice. I was flipping through it before, and something that I really responded to is about that flirting is a compliment. Flirting is sort of fun, and it's got to be light, and that people who are flirts just have this joie de vivre, that I think is really precious. And yeah, that's why it feels so good.
I love it. I interrupted you. You want to reread the quote?
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, so too much of a good thing is wonderful. And that's coming from Mae West from Flirting 101, How to Charm Your Way to Love, Friendship, and Success. So my second tip is slightly low-hanging fruit, I must say. And this is COVID-friendly, so you got to get yourself into either a one-on-one chat or more likely a group chat, and then you gradually transition again over months and months to an individual chat. There's a theme to mine. Okay, and then so within this individual chat, you develop a joke where one of you is the boss and one of you is the employee. It doesn't matter which. It's sort of like either go with how you are as a real person or flip it the opposite way to like have a bit of playful fun. And then at some point you need to send a lingerie pic. and then you need to feign worry about being fired from your job. In this inside joke that you have on a one-on-one chat. So there's lots of setup, but...
Okay, so hold on. So you're in a chat with someone of equal status and standing to you.
Oh, yeah.
You create a joking sexual harassment scenario, and then you role play sexual harassment.
I think power dynamics are sexy. Yeah.
I think I would like it. I think that's
yeah. But it has to be gradual and it has to kind of make sense. And then you just find a way to incorporate this, or like ask about the technology policy, or like what is a misuse of technology? Is it this? And then you send your lingerie pic.
You're doing sexy talk with business jargon to one another. So after you send the lingerie pic, is it just like, that's it? That's the final step in picking them up?
That's your overture. And with any luck, they pick it up and you go from there. And then you can plan your like HR, one-on-one.
So that is my question. What happens if the person you're talking to is like, okay, we're in roleplay land. Like, this is where we're going. And they're like, hi, this is Tom from HR. We received a report of a misuse of our company technology and you are being fired. What if they take the opposite route? What if they run the other way with it? Because they're so obtuse.
And you can tell that they're still role-playing, or you can tell that you've made a grave error and they're trying to help you save face.
No, in this scenario, I think they're role-playing. They're playing along with it, but they've chosen the exact worst role to take this forward.
There's always a chance of that. I think you would... Oh, man, I don't know.
What if they did a mix of changing role but leading into it, and they said, this is Tom from HR, and I think you're hot.
I'm going to get fired, but I like it anyways, because you're worth it.
It would be a gratifying... It'd be a gratifying challenge to try to, flip that fuddy-duddy,
Okay. I love it. I think this is almost a foolproof plan, but I guess in the second half, we'll decide for sure. I love the lingerie pic thing as like the final nail in the coffin. And it's just assumed that they'll know what you're talking about. And I assume you send that on Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you could get the colors and all the accoutrement.
Are you in the lingerie? Like, you're not just sending them just your favorite lingerie and it's like $98 at like La Senza or whatever it is. You're actually in it.
You're in it. Yeah.
Okay. That's the final piece I needed, because I thought you were just sending this is my favorite lingerie. I'd like you to buy it for me.
Well, and I guess if you're tentative, that's kind of it's a little bit saucy to sort of give that suggestion. And then you don't have to worry about any implications,
Right.
And you might get a gift out of it. So
That's true. Josh, what do you have as your second nomination?
All right, let me set the scene here.
This is another long game.
You're 27 years old. You have just moved to a completely new city. You've settled into a brand new apartment. You've scouted out the local groceries and restaurants, places to go. But for the first time in your 27 years, you are truly alone. It's just you in this new city and you have no friends. And you want to go and make a friend. So, plan is to, whatever hobby you're into, I'm going to use Yu-Gi-Oh! As an example because it's the first thing that came to mind. Okay.
Yu-Gi-Oh! The card game for people who
Yu-Gi-Oh!
don't know. Yes.
The card game could be anything. It could be your fandom of St. Valentine's. Maybe you love PodCavern so much that you own all their merch. But that's the key to it.
Amazing.
You deck yourself out in merch, head to toe, of your favorite franchise or whatever you want to do, and you walk the streets of this new city in the hopes that somebody will notice what you're wearing and ask you a question about it, and then they're a fan, and you start dropping factoids, you become friends, they introduce you to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan club, and now you have made yourself not just one, but hopefully 2 friends in this fan club. And that is how I would pick up a new friend in a new city, by decking myself out in merch.
I kind of love it. That might work. You know, it will work. And of course, Josh, it is Yu-Gi-Oh! That you are choosing. Like, that's the one you're going to do.
Very specifically, dual disc and the big hair.
The puzzle around your neck, that kind of thing.
100% cool. Huge collar, sleeveless shirt.
I love it. Okay, well, now I'm very curious. Woody, what type of fandom merch would you shower yourself in to use Josh's move?
Well, I mean, I think it should be obvious that I would wear all my St. Valentine merch.
I knew this was the answer. I shouldn't have asked. Adriana, what do you do?
I think I want Peloton gear. I want my like fleet, fleet mates, because then you've got people to ride with in the summer. You can give them high fives like all winter and ride together. And
there's a ton of Peloton merch that's overpriced, but if you're wearing it, it's like a status symbol that you can afford Peloton.
Yeah.
And then you can afford their clothes and then you work out.
I guess. And you can probably arrange some like coupon codes among friends. You can like pay it forward and pass on your benefits if you refer people. I'm not advocating the multi-level marketing.
Yeah, Adriana, just real quick, what's your Peloton referral code if you can?
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, great. Okay, well, I love it. People are at home are going to wonder what mine is. I'm going to go with Josh. I want to do this Yu-Gi-Oh! Thing now with him. So, yeah, I used to play that all the time. I used to make my own dual discs. I think we got something going, Josh. We're going to make some friends one day.
Good. Then we'll send them to the Shadow Realm.
Oh, God. What do you have as your second nomination?
My second nomination is poetry.
Okay.
I think it's a good thing in a creative way. I think it's just a good way of getting your words out there, getting sassy with them, putting them together, thinking about something, and then sharing it and just handing it over to someone and being like, I made this for you. I took my words and I made this and I gave it to you. What do you think? You can do it with your long-term partner. It's also a nice gauge of like, because if you give someone a poem, or like, let's say you're in a Tinder or a something, and you go like, hey, do you want me to write you a poem? And somebody is like, no.
Oh, no.
Well, then you're kind of like, all right, I guess that's it, right? Like, it's a good sounding.
Do you crush up your hat in your hand?
Yeah, crush up the poem. I sadly tear apart the gold leaf paper and I bunch up my quill.
Yeah, is it a handwritten poem or is it all typed out? What's your move here, Woody?
Depends on the poem. Depends on what you do.
Okay. Specific poem, different writing styles. I get it.
Yeah, well, or like, what do you mean? Because a poem's going to convey something, right? You're going to be doing so. Like, I mean, you could send a sexy poem. You could send a funny poem. You could find like a funny, sexy poem. You could do something a little longer and a little bit more like drawn out, right? Like it's just about taking whatever the situation is and translating it to like you say, hey, how do you fancy a dirty limerick? And then,
yes.
Okay, so you ask permission before you give the poem. You're never gonna just whip out the poem. Like I'm not gonna wake up one day and see, whoa, Woody wrote me a poem and he mailed it to me. It's not gonna be one of those.
I'm not going to just like drop a haiku out of nowhere. No, I'm going to.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be a poem with consent or with some sort of like some sort of preamble to it, right?
I got it. So I'm going to write poetry with consent as your nomination. Yeah. Okay. Last question here about your poetry, because you're such a big expert on it. Of course, you mentioned haikus, limericks. What's your go-to here? Like, is it a sonnet? Is it a ballad? What kind of poem do you like to make?
You know, I'm a big fan of classic couplets or like an ABAB rhyming structure. I just think it comes across as a poem. People like things that rhyme, and you know, failing that, go for a bit of free verse. Just speak from the heart and be like, this is poetry. And they're like, no, it's not. It doesn't rhyme. And then that conversation's also over. It's another good.
Follow-up question. What about slam poetry? Would you ever invite your Valentine to see your slam poetry competition?
I'm going to say that's the least romantic type of poetry.
You hear that? All the slam. Okay, I'm sorry. We have a lot of slam poetry listeners out there, so you just offended all of them. Adriana, would you come to Woody's slam poetry if you did one?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. And I would, at slam poetry, do they score it at the end with like a gymnastics scoring?
Like if it was like a skating competition, like a 9 or a 10, right?
Yeah. And so I would bring a bunch of 10 signs and I would just run across the stage and support you.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Great nomination.
Thank you.
We're going into the final round of nominations. I can't believe we're here. We got one more round at you right now. And my last nomination, okay, I went a little like outside the realm of possibility for the first one. Pretty grounded for the second one. My last one, I think I'm going to go for it. And that is the idea that you're going to make. Okay, let me set the stage here. There is an impending threat, some sort of doom clock ticking. There needs to be someone who steps up to the table, steps up to the pedestal, either turns the key, presses the button, makes that self-sacrifice that only nobody can make except someone who's brave. You know, someone with confidence that's going to say, I don't care what happens to me. I just want you to live. That's the scenario that I'm painting here, right? So that can be anything you want. Even if it's like a giant Godzilla monster that's like, we need one sacrifice and that sacrifice will save humankind. You're going to be that sacrifice. You're going to go up, and before you press the button or you do your thing, you're going to look at your Valentine and say, hey, save me a dance. You're going to say that kind of like Captain America does, or like Peggy does in the Captain America movies. But you say, save me a dance. And then in the back of their head, they're like, oh my God, they're not going to die after all. I mean, like, yeah, they're sacrificing themselves, but like they're going to come back one day. And that's what happens is a few years down the road, 10 years down the road, it could be the last day that other person's living. I don't even know. But one day you're going to make your grand reappearance and then say, I'll take you up on that dance now. And you're going to do it on Valentine's Day.
To be clear, do you sacrifice yourself?
You have to sacrifice yourself, yes, but you know your limits. You will only sacrifice yourself in a situation where you know you're going to come back eventually. Okay. What's your second question? Just throw it at me.
I guess the follow-up question is that still heroism if you know that you're not sacrificing yourself?
Okay, all right, okay. I didn't know this was, okay. I'm not going to answer that question, Woody. It is heroism, okay? Have you seen movies?
You have to have it happen in like 3 parts, over it. Yeah, it has to be that stretched out.
Of course. Mm-hmm. Yes. And you can even pepper your return a little bit, okay? You can even like just leave clues, or you can like start walking by this person, but like in a different outfit or like a mustache or something. And the person will turn around and be like, did I just see Tuong? No, he died. He sacrificed himself. What? And then, you keep kind of popping up here and there, leaving your mark. And then eventually, of course, you come back in a dramatic fashion. Josh, does this work for you?
100% yes. Guaranteed. The day you walk in through my door, after telling me that you sacrifice yourself, but I've caught glimpses of you over the years, the first thing you see is a huge conspiracy board. Like sightings of like newspaper clippings, of interviews with people who knew you. And it's just like red thread all over, and I've waited every single day for you, and the only thing I know how to say at this point is your name.
And everyone called you crazy, but you weren't in the end because I was still alive. Yes, see, the story writes itself. Even if you want to give me amnesia at some point in the story, go for it, you know? It all comes back to the end where I do come back, and I do remember eventually that I'm going to take you up on that dance.
You walk into the room and they say, "Oh, sorry, I didn't save the dance. I already ate it."
Okay, Adriana, what do you have as your final nomination?
All right, final nomination, and of course, the requisite quote. So, the doors we open and close each day decide the lives we live. That's Flora Whitemore. So, this one is bold. Like bolder than the rest. I went in order of boldness. And you know, this could be for a friend. It's more likely for a romance, but it could be for a friend too. So you want to get into the habit of greeting your friend every time you meet them or your love interest with a hug. So that just becomes your norm. And then all of a sudden, one day when you do your embrace, you go for it and you nibble on their ear.
Wow.
There's no ambiguity whatsoever. You can decide how wet you want it to be. Probably I would err on like less wet. But that is a bold statement, and it's like, here I am, and here are my intentions. And I said it could be relevant for friendship. Then you might just want to do like, you know, a nibble.
Do friends like when the other friends nibble on their ears?
I think they could.
Okay.
I just think we should normalize. If it's not something that we do right now, I think we should normalize this.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Too.
nibbling each other's ears. I do have a question. When you say nibble, are the images that are in our heads aligning? I'm thinking rabbit eating a piece of lettuce, nibbling. But I think you're saying something else.
Okay, I would say, so you don't want to have any teeth. Like,
Okay.
That's kind of a given. So nibble is the wrong word. Maybe like, or
Mouth.
maybe knead it between one set of teeth and your lip, you know?
I think I like the word nibble more than kneading. Kneading your friend's ear.
But to be clear, this is not a French nibble.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. So maybe, depending on your passion, you could just be all tongue. You could actually like
Now you're
skip the
speaking my
earlobe
language.
altogether. Skip the earlobe altogether and just go for penetration.
So you might penetrate their ear with your with your tongue,
No,
but
you know
not
what? On
French it.
second,
You're not gonna French penetrate.
no, we're gonna French kiss their earlobe. That's it.
Got it. Okay. Would you seem aroused by this nomination? Yeah. What are your thoughts here? Explain it to me.
I'm I'm trying to think what the friendly ear nibble is. I'm also like, Adriana, you're my friend, and you're claiming this is a friendly thing you can do. I'm gonna break out an ear nibble at some point.
I'll be thrilled.
I think I would have a hard time nibbling on an ear in a non-romantic way. And this is my feeling about it.
It is very bold. You're right. The boldness
It's
of your
bold.
nominations. I was like, what's more bold than like setting up a boss employee dynamic and sending a lingerie pic? This is more bold because it's just like, yeah, hugging is the norm. Mm-hmm. And I thought what you were going for is like the slow build of like, maybe you're like embracing a little longer. Maybe you're like, you know, using your thumb to massage their back a little bit in the hug. But no, yours is just like, no, one day when you're up for it, you go for the ear nibble.
Yeah, it's effective. Like that sends your message.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And because you've established yourself as the huggers for so long, you can probably just say, whoa, it was a slip up. I'm sorry. You know, we've been friends for years. I don't know what came over me. And you can normalize it again. Maybe.
I thought there was a Sour Patch Kid stuck to it.
Okay, Josh, how are you going to top that with your final nomination here?
All right. Well, first I need to set the scene. Here we are. Hypothetically, like me, this scenario involves somebody who's queer and a straight friend. So here I am, little queer boy, happy as can be, and I have a friend. Let's call him Caden. Okay. Caden is handsome, not super interested in Caden, but, like, objectively I can tell that he's pretty hot. Except he doesn't think so. He doesn't see it. And so he lets that get in the way of himself. So I bust out every queer superpower, telling your straight friends that they're attractive to boost their confidence. I tell Caden this. Caden, sort of a change appears over him. He stands up a little straighter. He smiles a little bit more. And he goes out there into the world and he meets somebody. And let's call her Tracy. Just as a callback.
Different Tracy, though, of course.
Different Tracy. No, for sure. Caden meets Tracy. They fall in love. They get married. You are the best man at Caden's wedding. You're the godfather of their kids. You're listed in their last will and testament. And yes, sure, this doesn't involve you finding somebody.
Oh.
But there is power, I think, in thinking, even though you're alone forever,
Oh, no.
that somebody else's relationship would never have happened without your intervention.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it all comes down to using, let me see what you wrote here, queer superpowers, all of your queer superpowers to boost the confidence of your straight, hot friend so they can find a Valentine.
And therefore, you live vicariously through them. You reap none of the relationship's rewards, except for the peace of mind knowing that you made this.
Okay. What does everyone think of this strategy here?
I think it's the ultimate wingman move.
You know, I really like this because, you know, when I was thinking about this, it's like smooth pickup moves, like you're involved in picking up the Valentine in some way, shape, or form, right? It's your friend, it's a stranger, or whatever it is, but you're going above and beyond. You're not looking for a Valentine for yourself. Well, you might be, but you're using your powers for somebody else. And that's really sweet. I like that. That.
You are the Bagger Vance of pickup artistry.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah, it's very selfless, and it's like your potentially your legacy as well.
Right.
If they have kids, you could be uncle, and I think that's really powerful and really sweet.
See, where I was thinking you were going with this was like once you're at the wedding of your friend, then maybe someone will recognize how great a person you are, and then you can pick them up. But you just kind of dropped it there. You're like, I'm at the wedding, and then I'm alone forever is kind of where you stopped it.
Hypothetically, not based on me at all. Of course.
Of course. Yeah.
Although here we are again with the long game. I think there is potential here for Caden and Tracy to be like, we have a friend you might be interested in, and then that's how you meet your life partner.
Okay. Okay. All right. Is this part of your nomination here now? It's like you boost someone else so they get married and then they can find you someone for Valentine's Day?
No, because I know hypothetically that I would find a problem with the person that they pick. So there's...
Okay, great. So you're also picky.
It's a separate scenario. Very picky.
I think it's better. It's more pure this way because you are a pickup wingman martyr, much like St. Valentine was.
Beautiful.
Thank you for the fun fact there. Thank you, Woody. Woody, your final nomination. What do you got?
My final nomination is the concept of radical honesty.
Okay, go on.
I think one of the things that people are attracted to is honesty. And I think people are attracted to confidence. And I think people are just attracted to really specific things. So I can have a theme in mind that you're really trying to like vet people that you're trying to pick up to find out if they're actually into you. But that's the thing, right? You can get really focused on this like one person or on like what is the pickup move on them. But you're really sort of vetting people with like really just laying it out there and saying this is exactly what I want, and you're way more likely to get what you want when you put that out there. So I think as sort of a broad arching pickup move, the concept of radical honesty in stating your intentions and what you are looking for is an important pickup move. You say, I want one night of of passion with nothing else, no strings attached. And if somebody wants that, they will pick you up on it. Or you say, I would like 2.4 children and a picket fence. And they're like, let's go find that.
This is great. I agree. People do love honesty. I love the word radical honesty. So no matter what, you're not pulling your punches or whatever. You're just going for it. Whatever's on your mind and what you want, that's what you're going to say out loud and hope the other person responds to that.
Yeah, lay it all out there. This movie is called The Lay It All Out There.
I think that you are vetting people that way, but you're also demonstrating that you accept yourself too. And it's sort of like unapologetic, here I am, I know myself. And that comes down to the confidence as well. And so it's, in a good way, it's taking the reins, like owning your power and then allowing people to choose and to take you up on it. And then they really have a choice and they feel probably empowered as well.
Yeah, I think that's the hope, right? Everyone goes in with agency.
As a person who has tried this very recently, I'm a big fan because I was shot down. Yes, it's true. But I was shot down with agency on my own terms. And so I was totally okay afterwards with how it turned out because I wasn't dishonest. I didn't hide anything. I didn't fiddle with the truth. Lay it out there. And now I don't have to obsess over sort of if I had been more honest about a thing, would they have accepted? Would they not? I don't know. So big fan.
Couldn't be more honest. You're doing radical honesty, right? So yeah. Okay, well, we got our list of 12 here. We're going to look these over, and on our break, we're going to hug each other, nibble each other's ears. And then when we're back, we're going to rank a top 5 list. We'll be back, everyone. Okay, dear Valentine. No, that's stupid. Oh, God, I'm such a dummy bummy.
No, you're not. You can do it. You can do it. They're going to love it.
No, Mrs. Calloway, I don't have it in me. I just don't feel confident in my own skin, in my own clothes, at what I write, what I do. I'm just a big dummy.
I think your parents are going to love whatever you write down, and you know they love you just as you are. Although a wardrobe update would never hurt.
Really? Would that boost my confidence? And then that'll allow me to finish writing this Valentine's card with a little choo-choo train that says, I choo-choo choose you?
It might. I mean, look how it worked for Tim and Sarah.
Oh, man. Oh, geez. Look at me decked out in this merch. Sarah, honey. Sarah, baby, I love you. Baby, I love you. I love you in this merch. I love you and this merch. And you love me because of this merch.
Tim, the only thing I like more than your merch is you and that Valentine you wrote with your newfound confidence having acquired said merch.
Baby, I would never been able to write.
And the only thing I love more than your merch are the kickbacks.
Oh my God, but where did you get, is that a PodCavern shirt you're wearing and PodCavern undies and PodCavern face mask and scarves?
You little baby, let me help you.
Well,
First
I'm
of all,
6 years old. I'm not a baby, but okay.
Yes, these are all PodCavern items that you can get at podcavern.com.
What?
Yeah.
It's just that easy? Go to podcavern.com? What'd you do? Like click on a merch store link or something? Can't be that easy.
Have you? It sounds like you've been, because that's exactly what you do. You click on the merch store link, and whatever you buy, PodCavern gets a little bit back, and you get a whole lot.
Oh my God. I can feel myself getting more confident as I order all of this clothes. 2 weeks later. Wow, I'm decked into PodCavern merch right now. I got a little bit for Mrs. Calloway, and I'm ready to write this Valentine. So here we go. Dear Valentine, dear PodCavern, I love you.
I'm a whole group of attractive people, and I'm into you. Super.
I'm 6 years old. PodCavern.com.
Top five.
Hey everyone, we are back. We just made out for the last 35 minutes straight, and my mouth is sore. How's everyone else doing?
Chapped.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
it's been, yeah, I don't know if we should have done that. We have one of those, like, this is all obviously recorded remotely because of the pandemic, but we all bought one of those Bluetooth things that, like, if you kiss into this Bluetooth object, then that object moves on the other person's end, so it's like I'm kissing them in real life. This is real technology, by the way. Yeah, it's not the same, but I think it'll do.
I'm missing a diamond stud. Is anyone?
Yeah, you're not getting that.
3 of my cavities got sucked out.
That,
or my fillings, I
you
should
should
say.
probably still see the dentist about that.
If anybody's wondering, tongues making out is oddly rhythmic. It's great. It's got a 4/4 time.
Oh, thank you. That's what I've been working on, is making my makeout sessions rhythmic. Okay, here we go. Enough funny business. We're here to talk about some serious shit, which is the pickup moves, sweet pickup moves, for Valentine's Day. So I have a list in front of me that I'm just going to recap what we talked about in the first half here. So we talked about flooding someone with puppies with Valentine's cards strapped around their necks. We had the strategy of acting aloof. That's it. We have the Tracy long game. Will they, won't they? It's a scenario that Josh painted up. It really just involves, after years and years and years of not seeing each other, having a pre-written Valentine's Day card available, so when they walk through the door, you can give it to them. Then we have starting a rousing conversation about St. Valentine. Next, we have free responsibility from your partner and give them the home spa treatment. The next one is set up a boss-employee dynamic. And then by the end of it, send a lingerie pic. It works every time. The next one is deck yourself out in your favorite fandom merch. You know, in Josh's case, it was Yu-Gi-Oh! In Woody's case, it was just St. Valentine stuff. And this is how you get noticed. And then people will be like, hey, join our club. We also love Yu-Gi-Oh! Cross St. Valentine as well. And that's how you make friends, people. Afterwards, we have poetry with consent, I guess. Don't just give poetry without consent. It's too creepy, right? The next one is the self-sacrifice, the heroic sacrifice, by also asking for that save the last dance or save me a dance kind of thing, and then whipping that out on Valentine's Day years down the road when you get resurrected somehow. Afterwards, after years of hugging or months of hugging or just a long time hugging your friend, you're going to nibble on their ear. Just one time, just do it. It's okay. We tried it on break. Surprisingly not creepy. Afterwards, using Josh's, it doesn't have to be Josh, it could be anyone. If you have the super queer powers, boost your straight man or straight friend's confidence. And that's it. You're just the wingman for them. And you're going to help them find a Valentine. And the last one is the concept of radical honesty. Everyone loves honesty. You're just going to take it to another level. So with that all said, we're going to go around the circle here, and I want you to star a nomination that isn't one of your own, that you're like, this could make a top 5 list. Adriana, what do you think here?
I really like poetry with consent.
Poetry with consent is starred for further consideration. Josh, what do you have? Star one that isn't one of your own.
It's gotta be radical honesty for me.
Woody's 2 for 2 here. Woody, what do you have as your star?
I gotta go with the boss employee dynamic. I just think it immediately brings power play.
Nice.
Okay. I'm going to go with, wow, you guys took all the good ones here. I mean, they're all good. Of course, they're all good. But I'm going to go with this deck yourself out in your favorite fandom. There's something about this that's strictly for Palentine's Day in a way. Like, it's to make friends. But that doesn't mean you can't meet your life partner by being decked out in, like, I don't know, your favorite Pokemon or something like that. Dress up as a Dragon Ball Z character. Dress up as your favorite Riverdale character. Does anyone do that? I'm not sure. So what we have starred here is the boss employee dynamic. We have deck yourself in your favorite fandom starred, poetry with consent, and radical honesty starred. Is there anything else that you guys want starred? And now it can be one of your own if you want it to be.
I like the home spa.
Okay.
For your long-term partner.
All right. Josh, anything else that you're like that pops out to you?
Personally, just for Tracy's sake, Tracy long game, will they, won't they? I'm putting this in for nomination.
Okay, so you're really fighting for this one now, this very specific long game.
Very.
Hey, I'm going to start because that's what the stars do. They help us narrow it down. Woody, is there anything else that you're like, this could make a list?
I think we didn't have momentum like when we first started, and in terms of putting it right in. I think Room Full of Puppies has got a Charmin commercial, like just raw, cute energy vibe. Like that's got to be in there.
Okay. Who doesn't like puppies? Who doesn't like, I mean, I know there's a lot of people who actually don't like dogs, but again, I don't want to know them. So they're not my Valentine. For myself here, I think I'm okay. We have several starred at this point. I don't know if there's anything else. Let me just read you the ones that aren't starred, and we can either say our goodbyes to it or be like, you know what, let's star it so we can talk about it. The heroic sacrifice, save the dance. I know there's a lot of components to this one. You gotta survive is one of them. I know you're making the sacrifice. Is it truly a sacrifice if you know you're gonna come back one day? And some would say, yes, it is a sacrifice. I mean, you're losing years of your life to do this move. But
I keep flashing forward to that scene where you come into the room and you're just like, hey, I came back for that dance. And then the person is like, wait, but if you're here, then that means, and then Cthulhu comes bursting forth from the ground for the pack has been broken.
That's
like
the thing, Woody, we can do it again. I can sacrifice myself again. It's an endless loop. I can just come back for. I'm not saying this person's going to be my life partner afterwards. They could be my love. It's like, what are you, forbidden lovers, right? We should be in love, but we only really have this one day on the planet together. Every 5 years after I sacrifice myself, I can come back for that dance. But I understand saying it out loud. It's a little ridiculous. But unless, Adriana, Josh, do you have any thoughts about this one before we say goodbye to it?
I love it, and I will love it as it leaves the
Okay, great. Thanks.
I'm going to hold its face and kiss its forehead and send it on its way.
Okay. I guess I'm not getting that dance after all. This is one of those situations where I do the heroic sacrifice and I don't come back. Okay, acting aloof. This is yours, Adriana. What do you think? This is a move that real people do.
Well, yes. Okay, so real people do it. I think for a certain type of person, it would really work. I think it is a bit twisted, and you'd more than likely end up alone, or unknowing. Well, having tortured someone that probably doesn't deserve to be tortured.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
it's close enough to negging.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
it's not quite there. It's indifferenting.
Yeah. Well, and it really relies a lot on the passion of the other person. And it's sort of like, it takes you out of it. You're just like a bit passive.
Okay.
It's like step 1, be irresistible. Step 2, be aloof.
And the first step is very important. If you don't have that, then they're not going to care that you're being aloof. Okay. All right. Acting aloof can go poof off this list. Okay. You can tell I've been doing
That's
this
a romantic
for
poem.
a long time. Yes. Okay. We got to talk about this one. Long time of hugging and then the nibble on the ear. There's something about this that is just irresistibly funny. I don't know if I would ever be bold enough to pull it off, but I'd wonder if you guys would and would actually recommend it to somebody.
You know what? I think it should get starred. I think one of the reasons too is that like an ear, like we've joked a lot about nibbling on earlobes here, but like it's a very powerful thing to have done to you.
Yeah.
It definitely drops your guard a little bit, right? Because like it's not because I feel like if it's different than like say I started kissing your neck or something like that. That's like an immediate like neck twitch that you're like whoa. But someone licking my ear or nibbling my ear doesn't happen very often. I feel like I would take pause for effect for a second before it sunk in.
I also think it should be starred, if only to keep alive the image in my head of somebody trying to move like a hoop earring with their tongue out of the way. Ugh. And then they get to the ear. I want it to stay.
Would you be the person who gets their tongue stuck in the hoop earring?
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Cool. Amazing. Okay, I guess we're starting it.
Well, also, we don't have another one that involves latching your mouth onto a body part, right?
It's true. And we want, as always, on ranked top 5 lists of stuff that don't matter, we want a variety that really represents this group, right? We need to get more physical. Okay, so the other one is the super queer powers boost the confidence of your friend. Josh, is this staying or not?
I was actually going to ask, and I don't know if this is breaking PodCavern law, but may I switch my previous star of Tracy Longame to this one?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep. So do you want to say goodbye to Tracy once and for all?
Being radically honest, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, Tracy.
Sorry, Tracy. I guess you weren't the one after all. I mean, when I locked eyes on you in kindergarten, I really thought there was something here.
Speaking of power dynamics, too, like you have to be destitute and your business has fallen apart. And you're like at a real disadvantage when they come in. Whatever.
To be clear, all right, there is money in the Caymans that just can't be touched right now.
Okay.
Honestly, I pictured you as the owner of the franchise, of the convenience store. I figured that was your second or, your third venture.
It's just me on Undercover Boss Day.
But do we trust him, though? Like, his last business on the oil rig, with there's all malpractice going on and stuff like that.
It wasn't his fault. He got double-crossed.
Yeah, but how do we trust someone who trusted someone like that, right? Like, he has a bad judgment in people. Well, anyways, sorry, Tracy. You don't get your shot. But St. Valentine, Mike, Woody, what are you thinking here?
I mean, it's both a pickup move in terms of the honest conversation about factoids. It's also potentially a pickup line if you were like, hey, you heard of St. Valentine, patron saint of beekeepers, and you look as sweet as honey. Like, it's a bit of a walk to get there.
Yeah, a little bit of a marathon to get there for sure. I love it. It's very perfectly fitted for Valentine's Day, unlike some of these other nominations that, could probably happen at any other time of the year. You're not going to bring up St. Valentine during, I don't know, Easter or something like that,
That's when you bring out the Jesus pickup line.
That's when you bring up the Jesus pickup line, which is a completely different nomination. It's not on the table here today. Just join us for next time for top 5 smooth pickup moves for Easter.
I hid an egg. See if you can guess where. We're not in that episode. I'm sorry.
We're not in this episode. Save it for that episode, guys. I don't know if you guys knew this, but this crew is going to hit every single holiday there is for smooth pickup moves. All right. I'll tell you what we have start here. We have Flood of Puppies, Free Responsibility, Home Spa, that's 2. We have the Boss Employee Dynamics, 3. The Hugging and Nibbling, that's 4. Decking Yourself in Fandom, merch, 5. We have the Boosting Your Friend's Confidence, 6. Poetry with Consent, 7. And Radical Honesty, 8. But we have to cut 3 of these. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to read the ones that are starred one more time, and we're going to do something called locks. So locks have to be unanimous. You just go with your gut if it's a lock or not. A lock is something that you're like, that should make a top 5 list. If it's unanimous, it's a lock. If it's not, we can talk about it afterwards. Sound good?
Okay.
Great. Yeah. Flood of Puppies, lock or no lock?
Lock.
That's a lock for me.
No lock.
No lock.
No lock.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Home Spa and Free Responsibility, lock or no lock?
Lock.
That's a lock for me.
No lock.
No lock. Okay, here we go. Boss Employee Dynamic, lock or no lock?
Lock.
Lock.
I say lock.
I'm not going to lock that one. Here we go. It's okay. This just means we'll talk about it afterwards. The Hugging and Nibbling, lock or no lock?
Oh, that's a lock.
That's a lock.
Lock.
All right, let's lock in and see. These locks are non-binding, by the way. We're just trying to navigate the conversation. The Fandom merch, decking it out, lock or no lock?
No lock.
No lock.
Okay. Super Queer Powers, lock or no lock?
That's a lock for me, but it's fine if nobody else wants to.
I'll lock that one. I'll lock that one. I like that.
Yeah. Hey, you know what, Josh? No, I'm not. Yeah, no, I think it's a lock. I think it has a rom-com vibe to it.
I'm not going to lock it, and I'll tell you why afterwards. Poetry with consent. Lock or no lock?
Lock.
Lock.
I lock it.
I can lock it. Poetry, people say it's a dead art form. We're here to tell you it's not, right?
Who's been saying that?
People I don't want to associate with myself anymore. Radical honesty, lock or no lock?
Lock.
Yeah, lock.
I lock it.
I'm not yet, but I'm almost there. Okay, so what we've solved was very little. So here we go. we have the hugging and nibbling locked. We have poetry with consent locked. Everything else is up in the air, so great. Let's start with ones that were pretty like, I don't know about this one. And how about, we'll go with the super queer powers one first. So let's start with that one here. So with this one, you all locked it. But for me, it's hard because I'm like, okay, well, it is a smooth pickup move for Valentine's for your friend, which is nice. But it's just like encouraging them, which I guess is a pretty cool move. But also, like, you really get the short end of the stick here. You don't come away with anything. And that to me is like, it's like almost crippling loneliness a little bit. But I'd love to be convinced otherwise, Josh.
First of all, I want to tell you, you don't have to worry about me, anybody. I'm good. I'm not lonely. This was totally a hypothetical situation, to which I would like to raise, has anybody ever seen Queer Eye? Because, okay, no. Well, they do, I think, pretty much the exact same thing, where they boost mostly straight people's confidence, and everybody's, like, happy at the end, and the glow they get on their faces, the Queer Eye gang, after they do a good job, and they fix this person's life.
Are you doing that? Or are you just like, because my idea was that you were just giving this person confidence and compliments. But the Queer Eye people, Laura watches this in the background sometimes, so I've kind of tuned in. But they're like, here's new clothes. Here's how you should walk. Here's how to make this specialty dinner. Are you doing that?
No, because if Caden can't do that, then Caden's a mess. And I don't want to go through all that trouble.
Okay.
So fair. I'm just boosting the confidence. I'm just Karamo. That's all I am.
You also lead by example in a way, if we're talking about appreciation of food and dressing well, in my opinion. Although maybe it's not explicit. I think the coaching could be kind of, a whiff of it could be there.
So just to clarify, if this one had been, I use my super queer powers to find somebody for myself, you would have been like, I'm locking that in.
But then I would want more clarification of like what the sweet pickup moves are. Besides the
That's
ambiguous super queer powers is very, I'm not sure what it is. I mean, to me, it's just like you're just instilling that confidence, right? So if you already have it, like what is the aspect of the queer powers that allow you to pick up? I'm not saying it's cut, but we do have to cut 3.
It can come down to variety. Also, as a technicality, if you are like wingmanning or like wing personing someone, do you say that you have done the pickup move? Like, have you done a pickup move, or have you been a mechanic within a pickup move?
You've enabled it, yeah.
Is a general on the battlefield responsible for the death that their soldiers enact? I think to a certain degree, yes.
Okay.
So, philosophically, my position would have to be, I think there is at least some connection there by way of encouragement. But I understand your point in that I'm not actually carrying out the specific act. It's all up to Caden. I'm just sort of showing him what's already inside him.
I think your reality TV show should be called The Pickup General, though.
yes, that's amazing. I love
Wielding
it.
the sword of love.
Josh, do you have a preference between the fandom one and this one here?
Yeah, just so we're clear, I know I'm fighting for this. I have no ego on this, very clearly. I think between these two, I would actually do the merch one. I think I would wear some sort of merch, so I would probably pick that one over.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. Do you want to say goodbye to this other one, this other nomination?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm ready. Caden will have to go find his own way, but I'm ready to say goodbye.
Okay. Sorry, Caden.
Okay. Sorry.
We know you have it in you. It's been in you this entire time. You can self boost yourself, right? Right?
Caden's really hot. he'll be fine.
Yes, we've already established he's a very hot friend. He just doesn't know it. Okay, let's talk about the puppies. The puppies were like, everyone loved the puppies, and then everyone's like, do we want to lock the puppies? And then I got some eyes that were like, I don't know about these puppies, so let's hear it.
I'm going to be honest. I think as the owner of a dog myself, I love this idea. But personally, if it were to happen to me, I think now after some reflection, I would feel like I was being pandered to a little bit. I would feel like this person knows one thing about me.
Right.
And it's puppies. And it would be great in the moment. But as we leave the yoga studio and we're like bringing the puppies back to where we rented them from, be like, what is it after this? What happens? Do I go on the date? I don't know.
Yeah, all right. Okay. I see where your head is. Adriana, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I do feel a bit sad for the puppies as well. They've been kind of used in a way. They're like these.
This is their job. This is their life.
They're rental puppies, but they're like the shelf life of that is very short. And do they have business managers who are looking out for their interests after they're not as cute anymore?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Once the puppies and this is a real business pre-pandemic, was puppy yoga. You might remember puppy yoga. That was a huge thing, making a lot of money. The way it worked was for people at home was that there would be a yoga class going on and puppies flood the yoga room while you're doing yoga. Now, the upside to that is that if anyone wanted to adopt a puppy afterwards, they could. Now, for my scenario, yeah, let's just say if you wanted to adopt a puppy later, you can. But otherwise, these puppies just keep rolling with their friends, their pals that they've been doing this job with for their short life so far, and they enjoy it. I mean, they get a lot of attention because who doesn't love puppies?
And then I also had the sort of logistical issues about whether someone was allergic or whether they would like it. But I understand that you were using that as a screening process as well.
It's a screening process.
Yeah, I got the sense that was the time where you were professing your feelings, and so hopefully by then you would have already known. But is that the final test?
Yeah, it could be for sure. I mean, if I really wanted to be bold, I could just open our whole relationship with this puppy maneuver, and I feel like it would go pretty well.
Well, so there's two things that concern me. Although I love it, and they're both logistical. Like I love it as like again this idea of the wave of the puppies and the Charmin commercial and the rolling around. Like oh, these puppies are everywhere. For puppies to fall out of the door, they have to be stacked up. So what I'm wondering is like what is the cubic puppy density of this room in terms of comfort for the puppies?
They don't have to be. You've been projecting this Shining situation where when the door opens, these puppies are falling on top of each other. I was just thinking like, a good amount of puppies start running towards you when you open the door.
Oh. All of a sudden, it's a good amount of puppies.
I mean, I guess I use the word flood, but I mean, a flood can be all shapes and sizes. So,
okay. Also, puppies are notoriously not house trained.
Yeah, we already mentioned that these are well-trained puppies because, you already have the chocolate around their necks. If you want to do the Valentine's thing, of course, it's a Valentine's thing. So you have to have a little bit of chocolate. So they're not going to try to eat the chocolate off each other's necks. Ergo.
Why not?
Because they're well-trained puppies. Ergo, well-trained puppies do not pee on the ground when they're working. Okay. I feel like, are we saying, I don't want to say this, but are you guys trying to put down the puppy nomination here? Because we will. But I want you to look these puppies in the eyes when you do it.
As long as we can all be in the room and hold the puppies and ourselves. I think,
yeah. No, Pa. It was my wave of puppies.
Okay. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I guess we're gonna old yeller all these puppies here. And okay, so with the puppies gone, what we have here is we have the free responsibility home spa nomination, boss employee dynamic, hugging and nibbling, fandom merch, poetry with consent, and concept of radical honesty. That's 6. Well, you have to cut 1. Is there any that stand out to you?
Gut reaction. And maybe this is walking back my lock. I can see how setting up a boss-employee dynamic might be slightly dicey.
Slightly dicey.
Slightly dicey, just a little bit, just a tad.
It's all pretend.
I can't believe we cut puppies before we cut the boss-employee dynamic.
I would think this would be a place of judgment, you know? It's like there's room for everybody. And all of the different interests that we all have.
Okay. All right. Well, what's everyone's thoughts on this one?
Well, I mean, hey, you know how I love to vet romantic partners through weird pickup moves, and I think this is a prime example of that. Because again, as you're sort of getting someone into this power play role play before they know that that's what it is, you're going to establish pretty quickly that that's a dynamic that they're into or not. Like when you pull the trigger on this, right? Like it's very much.
I would argue that this is certainly a pickup move. I'm not sure if it's a sweet pickup move for Valentine's Day. It's a bit dicey. It's a
grooming process. I will admit that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Some time. But I would say that would be to determine whether or not they're into it.
I could be mistaken sort of in my remembering of the actual scenario. But I think maybe if it were set up as you setting up an employee-boss dynamic, where you were the bad employee and they were the boss, and sort of they could take the invitation to be the boss, I feel like that sort of like quiets down my mind a little bit more. But, and again, I could be misremembering, if you're the boss and you get them to be the employee, I think that is sort of where I'm like,
So I had envisioned it being that you were the employee.
Okay. Well, then
Then you're in.
Then I'm okay.
Still on board.
Totally on board. I will be the bad employee any day.
I also think that, like, this nomination is for, like, the kinky people out there, right? They want to have this, like, ooh, we're doing something bad over here. I'm the boss. This is, HR is going to get involved. Wait till finance sees what we're spending money on. We're going to direct our problems to IT. It's like all this, like, dirty talk around corporate work, which is weird. And then it ends in this lingerie pic, which that can be sexy, certainly for a lot of people it is. But what if you have like a more timid person? A lot of people, like, this only really targets one specific set of people. And like a lingerie pic can really like scare a person a little bit because you have a different type of connection to them than like, yeah, let's be freaking weirdos and kink monsters here. That's where I'm coming from.
I think in today's dating scene that sending erotic photos is like such a part of the landscape.
Okay. Now, is setting up a boss-employee dynamic in your Tinder... I've been out of the game for a very long time, so you guys, if anyone knows, please enlighten me here.
I mean, to some extent, in a quicker sense, I do think radical honesty does encompass this approach.
Okay, how about I put it on the table here? What is the one that we're cutting? What if everyone has to pick one that they look at this and they're like, I don't think this is an actual sweet pickup move. Of course, our list is ridiculous, but we want to have a kernel of truth in it, I think.
If we're including the modifier sweet before pickup move, then I feel like I'll have to stick with boss employee dynamic. Sorry.
I think sweet means effective, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry. Then definitely not. Yeah, sorry. Thanks very much.
Okay, Adriana, is there one that you're like, I want to... for me, it's that one, too, I'll be honest. The boss employee one. As hilarious as it is. I mean, listen, you have a hugging and nibbling one that's somehow making the list here. I'm not sure why you're fighting for this other one.
Okay, all right. Well, like I feel that I've said all I can say, so I'm listening to the room. I'll go along with that.
Let's just make sure that we haven't starred this yet, or locked it. I think it was me that didn't lock this, which was radical honesty. I changed my mind. I like it. So,
if we're getting rid of boss employee dynamic, what I'd like to really highlight and take away from it is the term misuse of technology for an unsolicited, like, erotic photo. Like we were just talking and then out of the blue, misuse of technology. Come on.
Read the policy.
Right. Okay, this is what we have starred. We have a list of 5. I want to make sure that we're okay with it and there's no other last minute changes, but we have the home spa free responsibility. We have the hugging and nibbling. We have deck yourself in favorite fandom merch. We have poetry with consent, and we have radical honesty. That's 5. Is there anything that was left unsaid before we move on to ranking this list?
No.
We're ready.
We're good.
I feel so bad for these puppies still. They're crying. I wish I could fight for them harder, but I can read the room. In the room saying, puppies have to go. I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. Number 5. What is number 5 here? What are we thinking?
Free responsibility, home spa.
Wow. Okay.
So-
That's number 5. the nicest thing on this list.
You're consistently being placed under like lecherous earlobe nippling and like
I love
power dynamic.
Yeah. I can see where this groom is heading, and I get it. You're all for the funky shit. My stuff's a little bit more traditional, I guess. I don't know if that's my number 5.
I think I would put that at number 5 or the merch.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm not fighting for the spa thing to be number 1. Let me tell you this right now. But I think if we're thinking about maintaining a love that you have with someone that you're currently with and sparking or igniting that joy and all that you want to show that you love somebody, I think this is the move. You're pampering them and you're freeing them from the responsibility. I think that's a true thing that we can bring into the real world. That's why I think it should be a little higher than 5. But I get it. But is it better than deck yourself in your favorite merch? I think so.
And Tuong, if I'm being honest, I think so too. Let it be said that I am an initiator and not a continuer. I just said the first thing that came to mind, but I'm very happy for merch to be number 5 here, out of a very strong list.
Out of a very strong list. There's no bad nominations at this point. They're all good advice. Okay. Is everyone okay with that then? Merch at 5. And then I don't think spa will go any higher than 4 or 3. There is a few things on the table that I really want to hear from you guys, because we haven't really talked about it too much. But we've talked a lot about hugging and nibbling. How far are we willing to make this go? Is this really a sweet pickup move that will work for Valentine's Day?
I think so.
All right.
I've said it. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's bold. It's an overture, and it's like, here I am. I want you.
I think that if at any point during the spa experience you had mentioned that you'd be nibbling on someone's earlobe, that it would be shooting up.
Right. Now, is this a better move than? So, because to me, this is a move that's like kind of testing the waters before you go for a kiss. But some may say that licking or nibbling someone's earlobe is more invasive than kissing someone on the lips. Some may say that. I don't know if it's me, but some may say that. What are your thoughts on that, Adriana?
I don't think so. I think like the mouth is pretty
sacred.
Intimate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
but your ears are not. They're like.
Well, no, I just think they're more fair game, I guess.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right, I can see where this is heading a little bit. I want to hear more about poetry, because who has actually written a poem in recent time, recent days? What are you thinking here? Would you appreciate getting a poem? And would you like writing one for someone for Valentine's Day?
I used to write poetry when I was in high school, specifically for cases when it was an unrequited love thing. It's a long story. We're not getting into it. But I found it to be sort of pretty effective, not outwardly, but inwardly. Yeah, it was sort of a good way to like process these things and really put things in perspective. I do sort of wish that I had the opportunity to show those poems to the person I was writing them about. And so in that regard, I like poetry with consent. I would like to receive a poem that was written about me, and I would like to, maybe one day write another poem about somebody and give it to them, and actually have the experience of having them read the things that I wrote about them.
I like that.
I like it because it's old-fashioned and it's unique, and it shows a lot of thought being put into it. It shows the care, or at least sort of awareness of the potential wants of the other person. And it's a great venue, I think, to express what you know about them and sort of what you appreciate. So I think that could be really gratifying on the receiving end. You'd have to determine if it was the right fit for the person that you were crafting it for. Mm-hmm. But I think I like it. It's charming.
Yeah, I think poetry works on some people. I like some forms of poetry. I think like Josh, like when I was in high school in my young 20s, I was like really in my feelings and being like, oh, I'm so like, my heart, it's broken. I need to express myself. But I never shared my poetry either. It was, I would say, more therapeutic than like something that I would actually use to like woo someone, to pick someone up. I think in those moments, it can come off a little desperate in some senses of just like, hey, here's my feelings. You got to be obviously very vulnerable to share your poetry to someone. I think maybe in 2022, people are a little bit more accepting to that. But yeah, I also think that not everyone responds to poetry in the same way, I guess. And I mean, it's on the list. I agree that it should be on the list, but is it number 4 or number 3 in terms of like a sweet pickup move? You're using it to pick up somebody.
I mean, I've used this technique to pick up people. Does that get us up? If it's like a
if it's a thing that actually worked, yeah, I think that also helps.
Yeah, and it's a continual thing, right? Like that's the thing. You pop off a quick text poem or something about how someone's speaking, and because also it's because it ranges from like, well, here's my feelings, and I've actually written like a piece of poetry that reflects my true dark feelings, like unrequited love. It's also just like, like Kurt Vonnegut says, write a poem, set it on fire. I don't care. It's your creative process. Like the act of creating art for art's sake is an act of love in and of itself. And then also there's just like, you could use it as straight up pickup line. Like my current love interest, I said, we met on Tinder. We had a conversation and I said, would you like me to write you a limerick on the topic of your choice? And she said, oh, yeah, cats. And you better believe I got a vagina pun into that limerick.
And this was your first text exchange? Okay.
Radical honesty, Tom. Only
honesty.
The bold.
You've convinced me, Woody. I always kind of forget sometimes, poetry is a lot of different things. And it can also be like poetry and music and like all this other stuff too. If you wanted to like go there, it's a very open art form. You've convinced me otherwise. I keep going back to the hugging and nibbling. Because if we're now reaching the point where it's like, will this work on someone? I just don't know. Hey, and if this group says, yeah, this spa thing has to go at number 4, I get it. If we're going on like personal experience, does this work? I think the spa home free responsibility technique 100% works. That works for anything. So if we're talking about stuff that is effective, I think it is effective. But
okay, I have an issue. What do you mean it works? Like, so are you trying to get laid? Is that what you mean?
No,
I thought we were expressing love.
No. I mean, that great bonus, but no. I mean, it works in the way that it shows that you love somebody and they can feel the love. And, especially in a long-term relationship, short-term relationship, people have their own problems and demons and things that they stress about on a day-to-day life. So to have the permission from someone that you care about to say, hey, you don't have to worry about this today. I will take your burden from you and you can take a vacation from all of that stress because I'm going to take care of you. I think that's really sweet because, you're taking care of them and they can feel that love. So when I say it works, I mean, I'm not saying it works because I got fucking laid real good by the end of it. I just mean that I feel as though when you do it right, which is not actually that hard, right? You're just doing like the day-to-day responsibilities. That can be cooking, cleaning, walking dogs. It could be, and then the whole spa part of it, which is, you know, really it ends up being like, I don't know, get some massage oil, get like some bath bombs, get some candles. It doesn't have to be that intense, but it shows that you love them and that you're willing to take care of them. But if that's not enough, I'm okay with putting it number 4 too, if we're really fighting for this nibbling thing to go higher.
I think it's an interesting thing to compare because it feels like both are happening at very like different stages, right? Like one is like okay, I'm going to turn this into a romantic relationship. I'm going to turn this into a romantic encounter. And the other one is like, I am going to continue to kindle my existing committed relationship. What if we swapped them into the other circumstance? So somebody that you're trying to turn into a romantic relationship, you do the spa day and you're like, I'm going to do all this stuff for you. And then what if you're trying to rekindle in the existing relationship and you give a hug and nibble a lobe? How do they both work in the
It's a very interesting philosophical question, and these are the types of questions we ask on this podcast every day. I have to be honest though, if I were to go for it, I'm going to try this, I'll let you guys know afterwards, but if I go for a random a surprise ear nibble for my partner, I bet you she'll wince. She'll go, what's happening? Because people can get skittish with that kind of thing, right? Especially if it's very sudden. So for me, when I picture it, I'm like, that would never work.
It's interesting because I actually feel the opposite way. If someone were to try to give me a spa day, I'd be like, ugh, like it wouldn't. And for someone to take over my responsibilities, I wouldn't be able to. It would take a lot of trust, I guess, for me to give those over.
Yes.
And maybe that's the point.
So again, I would like to defer to PodCavern law. How
PodCavern law is very flexible. I don't know if you knew this.
In that case, I must ask, how petty can our reasoning be?
Oh, very. Yeah. It could be whatever you want it to be.
I was happy to give up number 5, but I will die before spa gets
over
higher
nibble?
than 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
You will die before that happens? Really?
I will die. I will inflict a heart attack on myself right now.
All right. It's fair enough. Now, would you do a heroic death and come back a few years later?
Ooh.
Okay. All right. I hear where everyone's head is at. It's good to know that my spa day will never work on you guys. Spa and free responsibility at 4. Now, with that said, then what's number 3? Are we now at nibble territory, or is poetry going at number 3? How far are you willing to make this go, Adriana?
Poetry is at number 3.
Okay, here we go. Ear nibble over poetry.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we kind of been dancing around what number 1 probably is, but I'm not going to say it. Why is nibbling better than poetry?
It's visceral. If that's right. Like it gets the blood flowing. Probably.
Yeah, it's exciting. I get it, right? Like, okay. Woody?
I feel her draw close and she nibbles my ear, the love of my life and the one I hold dear. I just feel like one encompasses the other. Like it's no competition, you know?
Okay. All right.
I don't know exactly how to explain this, but the moment we narrowed it down to these top 5, my brain was like, poetry is number 3. 100%. Yeah, my brain was like it's there.
Yeah, that's great gut feeling here, but under PodCavern law, I'd like to know why.
I don't want to incur a fine. I will explain. I feel like, first of all, the closer nibbling gets to the top, the funnier it is.
I agree.
Second of all, I know what I want my number 1 to be. I really like I think if I were to think honestly, number 3, sort of as a very powerful number 3, that's where I would put poetry in my own like ranking of things I would do. It'd be like a good like middle of the top option for me. But I don't know if I would always use it as my like go-to thing.
Right. So you're saying you would much sooner use hugging someone you like and then nibbling their ear before you write poetry.
Wouldn't you?
You know what? I also don't know where I land on it. I do think that it's funny that the nibbling thing is going higher, which I do agree. It's funnier the higher it gets at this point, but I don't know if I completely agree, but I will defer at this point to what this group thinks.
Poetry at number 3.
Okay. Woody, how do you feel about this?
Well, I mean, it does. The thing is, like, an ear nibble is a straight up shudder inducing, whether it's a positive or a negative shudder. Like, it is a clear line and a romantic move, you know?
You know, romantic, I'm not sure if I'd use that word for it. But I guess it depends how invasive the nibble is, right? If you're Josh, he's fucking tonguing you. I don't know how I feel about that. He's putting his ear through your earring hoop. Adriana, you seem to be a little bit more, you know, probably in the spirit of your own nomination. It's an actual nibble, a knead, if you will. You're kneading your lips between their ears. And then, yeah, Woody, your full penetration, it sounds like, when it comes to the ear thing. Yeah.
Random fragments of poetry and then almost Lovecraftian slurping sounds. Yeah, absolutely.
Would love to hear the ASMR for that. Okay, so... Okay, with that...
Who does your Foley work?
Nibble versus radical honesty. At this point, I don't even know where I want to go. I fought so hard against nibbling that I feel like I'm at a point where I'm almost the other way. But we also haven't talked too much about honesty because it also seems like a real good move for a pickup for Valentine's Day. If, you know, you're being brutally honest about it. And I think that's confidence is key, right? So, like, if you want it, you can get it. Just be honest about it.
Yeah.
So I know I said what I said earlier, but truly in the spirit of radical honesty, I do want to pick the thing I would actually pick and not the funny thing. And so I would place radical honesty over nibbling. I actually do think it's a really sound piece of advice, one that I've been personally trying to follow a little bit more recently. And yeah, I think it would take the number 1 spot for me.
Yeah, me too. I think it's a good philosophy for romance and for life. And I love that it's sincere. And I think that should be at the top spot because I think a lot of people would respond to that. And we need that right now. And for people who are in the dating scene, it's like you're hungry for that. And it's respectful to all parties. And I think, as I said before, it demonstrates self-acceptance and love and also grants the other person, if they have all the information, then they can make the choice that's best for them. So.
I love how we ended on a very sweet note after all of that. All that talk about tonguing and stuff. Yes, Josh, your hand's raised.
Just so we're clear, no ties.
No ties. No, of course not. We don't do that here.
All right, fine. Then my answer stays the same.
Because otherwise you'd want a tie between the two? Is that what you're saying?
I was just asking.
Okay.
But apparently no ties, so it doesn't matter.
No ties. Let me read you the list, and I think we got it. Let me know if you're satisfied with this. So for our top 5 smooth pickup moves, or sweet pickup moves, I think interchangeable, you know, for Valentine's Day, we have... This is a Palentine's move, which I like, which is deck yourself in your favorite fandom merch, and then someone will discover you and be your friend. Then we have the home spa free responsibility treatment. That's more for like long-term partnership or even someone you've been with for a little bit and you want to show that you love them. Poetry can go a bunch of different ways. Could be for your friends, for your partner, for your long-term partner, for whoever you want to be your Valentine. Then we have this hugging turning to nibbling, turning to kneading, turning to tonguing, whatever you need in the moment to give them that shock of surprise to say, hey, I'm making my move right now. You know, I really want to see that move now on TV and in movies. Have they done that yet?
Not in any videos I care to mention right now.
We'll link those other videos in the show notes afterwards. And radical honesty as number 1. I'm satisfied with this list. How about you guys?
Yeah.
I'd like to note for the record that nibbling is a very close second, but I'm very satisfied.
Yes, we understand.
Just
you
like
wanted a tie.
after a good ear nibble.
All right, let's get into some honorable mentions. These are just some of these ideas that we had that we're just going to rapid fire off. Adriana, do you have any honorable mentions at all?
Yeah, putting someone on your handlebars of your bike and riding them around.
Love that.
That's cute.
Is that the only honorable mention you have?
Yeah. I guess like gifts, chocolate.
Great. Love it.
Yeah.
I like how your nominations were like bold, and then handlebars and then chocolate. Josh, honorable mentions. Give me all of them.
Yeah. So one of them is the bucket list. So if we're not dead by the time, if we're still single and also still alive by the time we're this age, let's get together. Another long game. The other one was teach me how to do this thing. I think it's like you create this moment where somebody's like, you create this rapport by somebody teaching you how to do something, and it builds a good basis for relationship. The third one was the scenario where you are a lawyer for a defendant and you somehow like create some evidence that acquits them, but it's fake evidence.
Oh my God.
But it's also like the evidence is also like a love letter and a confession, and so that's where that would have headed. I didn't have time to flesh it out, and so it didn't make it. That was the idea.
But if you did, it might have made number one.
If I did, it certainly would have made number one.
Right. Okay. All right. And that's it on your end, Josh?
That's it on my end.
Okay, Woody, hit me.
I had honorable mentions for flirting with your eyes.
Okay, yes.
And pretending to be rich.
All right. Both very good options for sure.
I went with the opposite of radical honesty for that one.
Are you a good eye flirter, by the way, Woody? I've never seen this.
It's all about the balance, right? Like, because there's a moment where you have to engage after eye flirting. If you make eye contact in a flirty way too few times, then it's not like the right time to be like, oh, hey, like I noticed we were making eye contact. If you do too many times, it goes to an awkward place. So it's all about finding exactly the right number of times.
I love it. All right, I'm going to rapid fire a couple of ideas that I had. A bunch of them are half baked, so here we go. This one could be real. Stand up to bullies or stand up to like gross people. Shut down toxic masculinity when you see it happen. You're not going to set up the scenario where but if it happens, you do it. And like, if the person's there, your interest is there, then they can see that you're better than these other people. The con is this doesn't work if the place that you're like in the scenario that you're in is just full of nice people. So there has to be people who are really shitty for you to stand up to them. Other ones is build a really sweet looking snowman that has a sign like in Love Actually, but that says, "Will you be my Valentine?" in one hand, and then the other has like a hot chocolate. I think that could be cute and very hard to do. Learn their favorite song on their favorite instrument. If they don't have a favorite instrument, default to acoustic guitar, maybe piano, but no drums, maybe ukulele, and absolutely not EDM for the first, unless their favorite song is EDM. Like, then I guess you can do some turntable shit. Make them a cocktail in their name or a mocktail in their name. Make a cameo in their favorite television program, but then halt everything in the show to look at the camera, break the fourth wall, and ask them to be your Valentine. Two more, which is get a lot of attractive people to give you compliments and attention in front of your Valentine, but then you just start pushing them aside. Like, you just start being like, they're like obstacles in your way, so you can get to them and be like, I don't want these people, I want you, kind of thing. So that's a little bit of a power move, I guess. And my last one, which I just thought of, which is get cinnamon hearts, because we haven't talked about cinnamon hearts yet. And just find who your Valentine's like arch nemesis and just spill a bunch of cinnamon hearts on the ground and they'll slip and fall. So, yeah.
Did you know that cinnamon hearts were St. Valentine's favorite candy?
Thank you. I've been waiting for the fun facts. I was worried that you wouldn't pepper one more in. But thank you all for listening to today's Valentine's Day special. Couldn't have done it without Adriana, Josh, and Woody. Thank you for being on the podcast, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, of course. Now, you guys are very funny people. You have things to plug. Let's hear it.
We're currently working on reopening the Improv Embassy in Ottawa. And I'm not sure if that is a thing that we should mention, but we're doing that right now.
Improv Embassy, for those people who don't know, a fantastic improv theater community that we all were brought up in when things were not so weird. Done a lot of shows, provided a lot of laughter, I would hope and think, to the people of Ottawa. But obviously, times are weird. Theaters have shifted all over the country, the world, that kind of stuff. So it would be an absolute joy to see the Improv Embassy return to the capital city, because Ottawa doesn't have that much stuff going on for it in terms of comedy.
Yeah, especially in terms of, I mean, again, if you want a place to do improv, like we're looking to open it up as, as soon as it is safe to do so. So Improv Embassy Facebook page and also improvembassy.com. You can look at those places. And when the world is a little safer for in-person improv, we should have some announcements.
Fantastic. All right. Well, for myself, you can find the rest of the shows in the PodCavern at www.podcavern.com. Check out all the shows in there. More to come. Buy yourself a t-shirt at the PodCavern merch store. Sign up for a class. I teach podcasting courses now on PodCavern. So check out podcavern.com for all of that information. And with that, we're going to spend some Valentine's moments together and just freaking make out with one another. How does that sound?
Yeah.
A jolly, friendly makeout.
Just a friendly makeup starting now. Stop it. Okay. No, not my ear. Okay.